DC Comics are having a hell of a time selling any character outside of Batman and Batman-related stuff. We've been talking about that on the channel. Batman is essentially the cash cow. You can't really do anything to harm Batman. We saw in Batman the Night #5, written by Chip Zdarsky, it's insinuated that maybe he's a bi-curious Batman. And there was certainly plenty of debate by Batman and DC Comics fans on whether or not that meant that he was a bisexual Batman. And I thought, you know what? Chip Zdarsky's playing fast and loose here. He's the new Batman writer. You probably don't want to be making a change of that significance to the character that will pretty much guarantee enormous amounts of backlash in a very negative way onto the character now that you're the head writer guy. It appears he's actually going to double down and confirm it in next week's Batman the Night #8. We have been promised that Bruce Wayne's journey to become the Dark Knight has taken him around the globe several times, but his training is nearly complete. His trials, however, haven't gone unnoticed. Someone has been watching him, hunting him. The final test of the Batman begins. That's the synopsis for Batman the Night #8. You can see the preview pages out there. He ends up running into one of his old trainers, and he ends up going to this fortress, essentially in the mountains, for this final test that's going on. And the entire time, he's essentially obsessed with Anton, who certainly has a different name than Ghostmaker, created by James Tynion, but it's heavily hinted at, and I think everyone pretty much agrees at this point, that Anton is in fact Ghostmaker, the original creation of James Tynion. And if James Tynion creates an original character, you can almost guarantee that it's going to be an LGBTQ plus character. Almost across the board, that's what he creates in comic books. I'm glad he does it with the original characters. I mean, at least he does that, although he did do a sexuality retcon on Alan Scott, if you remember that from the Green Lantern 80th anniversary special. So we've had a very young Bruce Wayne and Anton playing cat and mouse, and Bruce Wayne is essentially obsessed with this character. And we get this page. Spoilers, if you don't want to see this, you're going to want to click off the video. I'm going to show you the page where I'm certain, in my opinion, I believe this is confirming that, yes, Batman, according to Chip Zdarsky, is bisexual. He's more than bi-curious. In my opinion, this definitely confirms it. I definitely want to hear from you and what your opinion of this is. If you made it to this point in the video, definitely comment with your thoughts on this. But here's the page. This final teacher has been watching Bruce Wayne from afar. He's been monitoring all of his activities. He knows all the stuff he's done. He knows he's been experimenting with magic, and he's meeting all these people, learning from them. And they have this conversation. Bruce thinks, I'm ready. I have all the knowledge I need to begin to return to Gotham. Daniel thinks he can just stand outside the world studying it. Daniel being the character he's about to talk to. People aren't insignificant, and they're worth more than a damn sunset. And he says, it's time, isn't it, to leave? You came to me hoping I'd turn you into a sociopath, but you're still just a little boy who lost his parents, his heart too big for this world, full of fear and rage and doomed love. Bruce says, I'm not interested in losing my humanity. I just can't afford distractions. I can't afford, he says, you can't afford to let him stop you. The one who walks the same path as you, but freed of your moral constraints. Bruce says, how did you know about? Talking about Anton, aka Ghostmaker. And he said, I gather knowledge. It's what I do. I know all about the little ghost that broke your heart. That's the trouble with hearts, with compassion and feeling. A heart can build up so high and then it keeps going. Well, I guess we know why Bruce is so obsessed with Anton. It feels like they've had a special relationship the entire time, and it's been confirmed by an outside observer that, yes, they were in love, and you would expect, being fully functional adults, that love would be expressed in a very physical manner. I don't know what Chip Zdarsky was thinking here. I don't know what Ben Abernathy, the group editor, is thinking putting this into the comic book. They have done so many weird sexuality retcons lately that it's pretty much played out. I've said it here on the channel. I have gay fatigue. I can't take any more of characters having their sexualities retconned. I can't take any more of the only reason you created this character and placed them into the DC or Marvel universe is because they're LGBTQ representative. They need to mean more than that. How many times do DC Comics fans have to go through this stuff? We've seen it with John Kent, which is really strange if you think about John Kent. He should technically be like 10 years old now. We had the sexuality swap of Tim Drake, and subsequently the aging down of the character, which was really strange. All of a sudden, he's like 22 years old. Next thing you know, he's 14 because he's gay now. What the hell is going on with that stuff? The Alan Scott sexuality retcon. Every character is bi now, apparently, in DC Comics. If you look at the Green Lantern family, there's at least 2 LGBT representative characters. If you look at the Flash family now, there's at least 2 that I know of that have been introduced recently. Obviously, in the Superman family, you have the character they want you to think is Superman now, fake Superman. In the Batman family, you have Tim Drake, you have Batwoman, and now apparently you have Batman. And it's like, it becomes a bit much. I'm coming here, and I think a lot of people are coming to these stories and these characters for superhero fare. Now, obviously, if you have a fully fleshed out character, they're going to have preferences, and that plays into the character. And that's how you can create tension when you throw in love interests and you put them in harm's way, and you can create stakes and things like that with the character. But doing the same thing over and over and over, it gets quite tiring. Like, you can't take it anymore. And now to see them do this with a character like Batman, you've only have one character that sells now. Yes, there are a few characters around Batman that are selling, but basically because they're associated with Batman. He's the only thing that you have left that you haven't destroyed. You bring in this new writer, and I think people have been very happy with Chip Zdarsky's Batman run so far. I've recommended personally both issues. I thought they were really good. The first one was excellent. I thought the second one was very good as well. And then he comes out here and shoots himself in the dick with this kind of move. How many more fans can DC Comics afford to push out the door to prove a point that they're inclusive, even though they've always been inclusive? Maybe they haven't been quite as cutting edge as Marvel in the past, but they certainly have been when it comes to trans characters and gay characters and stuff like that. That's always kind of been there, at least since the late 80s, early 90s. I can tell you right now, DC Comics can't afford to alienate their Batman fans. They've already tried a little bit with Batman the Fortress. They're lucky people just said, you know what, I won't read that one and I'll ignore it and I'll just act like it didn't happen and I'll continue to read the Batman stuff that I like. But Chip Zdarsky is the Batman writer, and he says he's going to be on the character for years now, and I kind of believe him. I imagine DC Comics isn't stupid like they were before James Tynion, where they probably locked him up to a certain number of dates and issues and stuff like that to put in this. And I expect his Batman to be informed by his Batman the Night origin story that he's creating for the character. At some point, DC Comics needs to get their head out of their asses and realize it's time to come up with a new gimmick. This one in particular hasn't worked. Did we get a sales bump on Superman Son of Kal-El when we had the big moment where he comes out as being bisexual? Absolutely. You got a sales bump because you had a gay Superman. And guess what? You've had an enormous sales decline ever since. What's going to happen with Tim Drake now? Did that Tim Drake Pride special sell any comic books? In Pride Month, when you put all the anthologies together and you showed Tim Drake and Bernard and Stephanie Brown for that big triumphant moment, did that sell any comic books? No, it didn't. You can only play fast and loose with your characters and their history and kind of the makeup of the characters themselves before you break them to where they're unrecognizable and people just get turned off to what you're doing forever. I don't want to see that happen. I come here every single day to talk about comic books because I love comic books. I love superheroes. I like the medium of comic books for telling stories, not just for superheroes, but for horror, fantasy, mystery, all that kind of stuff. I love sci-fi. This is the best storytelling medium in the world, and it's being completely sabotaged by a bunch of idiot editors and writers with the most overt agenda in the world. There's no subtext or anything to any of this. It's so over the top, overt, it's not even funny anymore. There's nothing in the world that I want more than for comic books to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger and to bring in new readers. But at this pace, there aren't going to be any readers left because they're going to have gone to this well so many times that there's going to be no fans left to keep the industry going, in North America when it comes to superhero comic books. At this point, we have a bisexual Bruce Wayne, bi-curious at least when he was a youth. We have a gay Superman, a gay Robin, everyone on Themyscira is gay, multiple gay Green Lanterns, multiple gay Flash. We get it. We get it. You want to be inclusive and you want us to know that you're good with people being LGBTQ+. So am I. But I don't go out of my way to read LGBTQ romance novels for a reason. If that floats your boat, I say you read and comic book the way that you want to. I read superhero comics because I want to read superhero fucking stories. And I'm so tired of this that it's not even funny. That's the only way. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm at my wit's end with this bullshit. It happens over and over and over and over again. And I'm tired of people telling me like, oh, you're just seeing things, Wes. It was never hinted at in Batman the Night #5 that Bruce Wayne could be bi-curious. He only kissed that man so he could steal a book. And I told you, there's no way that they're going to let this lie. They will definitely come and revisit it, and they will fucking confirm it for you. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the video. I've been talking about this for over a fucking year now. I want to talk about superhero stories. I'm so sick and tired of talking about the goddamn sexuality of the fucking characters.